What's going on, it's the Polygon Don, and in today's video I'll be discussing my top 20 open world games on the PlayStation 3. Emphasis on personal there, so please be gentle in the comments. In this list there'll be the usual big hitters, but there'll also be some underrated and lesser known titles included as well, which is why I like to do top 20 lists. And as an extra bonus, stick around at the end for the Honourable Mentions section, where I quickfire some games that didn't quite make it on the list, but are still well worth your time and shouldn't be overlooked either. So with all that said, let's get into it. Red Faction Guerrilla is the third instalment in the Red Faction series and the first to be set in an open world, an open Martian world to be exact. With the main hook of the game being its incredible demolition tech, Guerrilla's new open world setting is a much better fit for all that dynamically destructible goodness. Taking place on Mars in the year 2125, you'll play as Alec Mason as he assists the rebel Red Faction to overthrow the oppressive Earth Defense Force. Being that you're exploring a recently terraformed Mars, the open world itself is a little barren and very orange, but traversing it in the many vehicles at your disposal was always really enjoyable, as was blowing up countless buildings and environments, especially as newer, more destructive weapons and gadgets are unlocked as the campaign progresses. Could be a little janky if you're caught in the madness of everything crumbling around you, but considering this is a fairly early release in the console's life, it looks and plays remarkably well. Character models are great, story is serviceable, vehicles each have their own distinct feel to them, as do all the explosive ordnance at your fingertips. It's not a massive game, the map is fairly sized, but if you mainline the story you can expect to see credits in about 15 hours, so not a huge time sink, which is always nice. Ultimately it does feel like a game built entirely around its destructive capabilities, but every now and again it just feels good to blow stuff up in games. No shame in that whatsoever. So if that sounds like you, then this game definitely has you covered.
Remember, you can grab like that in the air too.
Skate 2 is an open-world skateboarding game set in the fictional city of New San Vanalona. In career mode, you'll have a fair amount of say on what your character looks and dresses like, and you'll also be able to customize your skateboard and tweak your skating style amongst other things. You'll complete the challenges presented to you in order to progress the campaign, and these range from races with other skaters, trick competitions, and even photo shoots for magazines. The challenges themselves are littered throughout this open world, and you are free to explore the map and trigger them as you see fit, or ignore them completely and just have fun roaming about and causing trouble. You're not glued to your skateboard either, you can jump off and walk about, so if you see a cool ramp but need to climb some stairs in order to access it, you can do that. With a more intricate system for performing tricks than most skateboarding games, in Skate 2 you'll be flicking the right analog stick in certain predetermined patterns to move your character's feet and perform tricks. Once the mechanic clicks, you'll be performing ollies, kickflips and grinds in no time. Chain them together to create a sequence, then chain that to another sequence to maximise your points. And then aside from career mode and a decent online component for the time, there is also free skate mode. Here you'll be able to play as anyone unlocked in career mode and have greater control over settings like traffic and NPC density. On top of all that, there's also a local co-op mode for up to 4 players. There are 3 skate games available for the PS3 and all are great, and each have their own dedicated fanbase championing which is best, but for me, Skate 2 takes the crown. Incredible skate mechanics, excellent presentation, and a fantastic open world to explore and develop your skills in.
They call me a killer, a monster, a terrorist. I'm all of these things.
Prototype is a third-person action-adventure game set in a fairly faithful recreation of modern-day Manhattan. In it, you'll be playing as amnesiac shapeshifter Alex Mercer as he attempts to stop an outbreak of a deadly virus called Blacklight, which mutates anyone afflicted into powerful and very violent monsters. And if that isn't enough to keep anyone busy, Alex also spends a lot of the game trying to uncover his mysterious past while fending off the US military and undercover Black Ops units. Busy boy. As mentioned, you'll have the ability to shapeshift, amongst other things, and what this means is you can change your outward appearance to resemble certain NPCs in the game. Consuming others and absorbing their biomass will not only heal you should you need it, but it will also allow you to take on their form. So if you were to do this with an enemy NPC unnoticed, you could then infiltrate their ranks and move freely amongst them. That is until your cover is blown, at which point you will revert back to Alex's regular body. But even if that happens, all is not lost, as Alex's regular body is far from regular. Alex has superhuman strength, can morph his limbs into deadly weapons, perform devastating acrobatic air combos, and scale the many recognisable skyscrapers of Manhattan with speed and ease. These abilities not only play a key role in combat, it also makes traversing the game's map easy, fast, and incredibly enjoyable. While sprinting, you'll automatically hop over cars and barriers, etc. without losing any momentum or stamina. Plus you can leap off of buildings, and even at the greatest heights will suffer no fall damage. It's not the prettiest open world, but thanks to Alex's powers, it's an incredibly fun one to spend some time and cause trouble in. Driver San Francisco is an open-world action-adventure game where you'll be playing as John Tanner, a detective who falls into a coma in the game's opening scenes after a chase between himself and his arch-nemesis Charles Jericho goes horribly wrong. While lying unconscious in a hospital bed, Tanner realises that he can shift into and inhabit other people's bodies while retaining his own memories and skills, and here lies the dominant mechanic of the game. You won't be exiting your vehicle at any point pretty much. Instead, you will shift into people's bodies while they're driving other cars. This means that should you be chasing someone down and they manage to pull away from you, you can shift into a car further down the road and cut them off, or slam straight into them. Ubisoft do try their hardest to spin a yarn that explains the mechanic, but it's probably best not looking too deep into that in all honesty, and just enjoy it for what it is. It is just cool zipping across San Francisco and the Bay Area in one of the 140 real-world cars the game offers you. All are fully destructible, boost-enabled, and can ram into cars approaching on your flanks. Aside from the critical path of the main story, the open world is littered with side missions where you can help the people of San Fran while giving you more reason to try out new cars, get creative with the shift mechanic, drive like an absolute lunatic, and have an incredible time doing so. Bit of an underrated gem this one, which I highly recommend if you haven't played already.
Fine. Let's get you back. Oh, thank you. But we can still have some fun on the way, right?
Allez, go! Drive!
What's going on? Oh, holy shite!
Putain de merde! They're coming!
The Saboteur is an action-adventure game from Pandemic Studios set in German-occupied France during the height of the Second World War. You'll play as Irish race car driver and mechanic Sean Devlin, whose life is turned upside down by the invasion of the Germans. Joining the French resistance, the young Irishman will liberate Paris one enemy stronghold at a time. With the usual driving, shooting and melee combat that was rife in open world games during this gen, Sean can also utilise his immense upper body strength and parkour savviness to pretty much scale any building in the game, whether that's to escape the enemies on his tail or to gain a better vantage point for sniping. You'll be able to upgrade Sean's skills via a perk system such as greater sniper accuracy or higher ammo count, to name a few, and these perks are accumulated via in-game deeds like evading high-level alarms or destroying a certain number of enemy buildings, for instance. The main shtick of the game, however, is that while the many boroughs and surrounding countryside of Paris are occupied by German forces, the map, environment and pretty much everything will have this black and white lifeless filter over it. Only through completing main and side missions and eventually liberating the area completely will the natural colour return to the streets of Paris. It's a little bit ham-fisted in its symbolism, but it still remains a genuinely unique gameplay mechanic even to this day, and in my opinion is another classic example of an underrated gem locked to this console generation. It's available on PC, but as far as I know there are no remasters, remakes or reissues for modern home consoles. So well worth grabbing a copy next time you see it out in the wild, I say. Also shout out to the Midnight Show, free DLC strictly for the grotty little gits amongst us. If you know, you know, and if you do...
Shame! Shame!
Too bad you were passed out when I came in. We could have partied. Maybe next time, doll. Bye.
Mafia 2 is an action-adventure game set in the late 1940s within the fictional city of Empire Bay. In it, you'll play as Vito Scaletta, an American war vet of Sicilian descent who is now a made man in one of the city's crime families. Inheriting his father's debts, Vito becomes a mobster to repay the deficit and hopefully secure a better lifestyle for himself and his family. However, Vito finds out the hard way that crime doesn't always pay. You'll be traversing the map of Empire Bay by foot or by a vintage car representative of that time. And what I found cool here is that the game itself spans around 6 or 7 years between the mid-40s and early 50s, and you'll witness firsthand the rapid shift in style that occurred in that time. The design of vehicles, fashion, music and even architecture dramatically changed during that period, and the game does a great job of conveying that. The story is brilliant, as is the voice acting of its cast, and the characters themselves are all incredibly well written and believable. The core gameplay is cover-based shooting, driving and the odd bit of brawling. You'll utilise era-accurate weapons like Tommy guns to overpower and outmaneuver your enemies as you take control of territories and increase the influence of your mafia family. The open world of Empire Bay itself is a melting pot of ideas and influences from real-world American cities like New York, Chicago, Boston, Detroit and LA. And it won't just be Italian-American gangs you'll be crossing paths with as you travel through its districts. There are numerous criminal outfits within the game, all fighting for their own slice of power, like the Chinese Triads or the Irish Mob for example. It's gritty, it's grounded, and its story is incredibly immersive. Any fans of classic mob movies like The Godfather or Goodfellas should definitely get this for the collection.
Okay, that's enough. Let's leave a little present. Vito, Marty, I got some Molotov cocktails in the trunk. Go get them and throw them in.
My pleasure, Steve.
It's our new torture dolls, boys! Let's turn up the heat!
Another action-adventure game, this time from a first-person perspective and all about guns. Lots and lots of guns. Borderlands 2 is a first-person shooter with RPG-like elements and a timeless, cel-shaded comic art style. With a new roster of characters and set 5 years after the events of the first game, the Vault Hunters, under the employ of the tyrannical Handsome Jack and his Hyperion mega corporation, are deceived and abandoned in a frozen wasteland. With a little help from the last remaining Claptrap and some guidance from the Guardian Angel, the Vault Hunters journey to the city of Sanctuary to join the Crimson Raiders so they can defeat Handsome Jack once and for all. You'll choose between 4 playable character classes, each with their own unique action skill. Choose which one suits your playstyle most and get cracking. The map itself is divided into several sections, which can be freely explored, with even more of the map unlocking as you progress the main campaign, with all of it providing plenty of fodder for your growing arsenal of guns and friendly NPCs to provide you with hours of additional side content. Borderlands 2 supports up to 4-player cooperative play, with the game adapting if you do so. As more players join the session, the difficulty of enemies increases, as does the chances to find those rare loot drops. The gameplay loop on this one is insanely addictive. The open world of Pandora is vibrant and chaotic. The characters are ridiculous and the enemy design and variety constantly keep things interesting. I haven't played the recent 4th entry in the series yet, but out of the first 3 mainline games, this takes the crown easily for me. You can play it on newer consoles that provide a better performance and experience overall, but the PS3 version is still more than serviceable and should be in your collection if you have a hankering for things that go bang.
Oh, crap!
Steady now.
Saints Row the Third is a third-person action game set in the fictional city of Steelport and follows the exploits of the 3rd Street Saints. You'll play the role of their fully customizable gang leader that gets more and more customizable as the game progresses. Set 5 years after the events of Saints Row 2, the Saints have transformed from their humble beginnings as a street gang into a fully fledged and branded media empire, with many of the members becoming celebrities in their own right. The main aim is to rebuild your crew and engage in a casual bit of turf war with the other rival gangs in Steelport. There are 3 main rival gangs, each with their own area of the map that they govern. Combined, they're called the Syndicate, and it will be up to you to use any means necessary in order to drive them out and claim their territories for the Saints. Gaining more money and reputation is how you progress and purchase more tools for traversal and destruction. Ranging from the expected to the absurd, the game essentially becomes a parody of itself after a while, and I'm totally here for it. As was the case when the series first started, many people dismissively called it yet another GTA clone, and while that may be true, Saints Row takes the chaotic and silly potential of an open world sandbox to the absolute extreme. Nothing is off the table, and certainly nothing is going to get in the way of the game's mission to bring you around 15 to 20 hours of dumb fun. There are 3 mainline Saints Row games released on the PS3, Saints Row 2, 3 and 4, and to be perfectly honest, you could pick any of them for this list, but personally, there's just something about the 3rd installment that ticked all the boxes for me. There is a remastered version released in 2020 for the PS4 and Xbox One, which will probably be the preferred way to play today, but in my eyes, this will always be just one of those classic PS3 games.
Nothing to it.
Infamous by Sucker Punch Productions is a third-person action-adventure game set in the fictional Empire City. In it you'll play as Cole McGrath, a delivery driver who, when making his rounds, is caught up in an explosion that levels 6 of the city's blocks. Cole, however, miraculously survived the ordeal, but he wasn't completely unaffected. He now has electrokinetic powers that grant him numerous superhuman abilities. Not only that, but in the wake of the explosion, a viral epidemic spreads through Empire City, forcing the government to seal off and quarantine the area. With a bit of training and help from some friends, you'll guide Cole to slowly put the city back together and restore some semblance of order. You'll do this by defeating gangs and their respective bosses with your newfound abilities. You'll start off small with electrically charged pulses that don't consume all that much energy, to much more elaborate and destructive abilities that consume a lot. One particularly unique aspect of the game is the karma system. The game and its story will react to your actions, deeming you either good or evil depending on what you choose to do. You'll start off in a neutral position, but it isn't long until you're presented with one of these karma moments. Always choosing the good option will change your rank from guardian to champion to hero on the good side, while always going for the naughty option will change your karma rank from thug to outlaw to infamous on the evil side. Your powers, and more importantly the growth of your powers, is affected by which side your karma is leaning. And like Prototype, which this game has more than a few similarities with, the world itself isn't the biggest or the prettiest, but the powers and abilities available to you make traversing it an absolute blast. Combat, while a little repetitive at first, just gets more and more enjoyable as the story progresses, and the karma system provides more replay value if you want to see everything the game offers. Plus, the way the citizens of the world react to you depending on your karma state was also really impressive, and still is. It has a sequel too, and either could have been chosen for this list, but the impact of the first game will always pip it for me. And they're both still locked to the PS3, so if you haven't played them yet, then definitely grab them the next time you're game hunting, as they both deserve a spot in any self-respecting PS3 collection.
Yes. I love it.
Hold still.
Set in the fictional open world of Paradise City, Burnout Paradise is a non-linear and expansive arcade racer. The map is designed to encourage exploration, allowing you to traverse it at your own pace, whether that's to find shortcuts for upcoming races, billboards to smash through, or epic ramps to launch yourself off from. You can literally lose hours just blitzing through the environment at breakneck speeds, performing death-defying stunts, and that's before you even select a race or one of the many other game modes to partake in. To start an event, you approach an intersection with traffic lights and a prompt will appear to press L2 and R2 to initiate the event. Some will be races where you are shown a finish line on the map, usually a fair distance from the starting line, and it is completely up to you and every other driver to get there however you please. There's no fixed track to follow, so devious shortcuts and jumps are welcome. You can eliminate other racers by causing enough damage to their vehicle, and this will have its own takedown cutscene, allowing you to revel in your destructive prowess before continuing with the race. Then there are dedicated takedown challenges in an event called Road Rage, in which you need to destroy a certain amount of cars before the timer runs out. To mirror that challenge, there's an event called Marked Man, where you will be the target for all other cars in the race to hunt down, and will need to keep your vehicle in one piece for as long as possible. There are more events too, but the last one I want to quickly mention is Stunt Run. Here you'll again be given a countdown timer where you will have to string as many stunts together as you can in order to increase your score multiplier and get the required amount of points to successfully complete the challenge. And let me tell you, when you find that perfect area of the map with the jumps and ramps all lined up, it's a stupidly good feeling chaining them all together. It's a massive open world laced with miles of smooth asphalt for you to burn rubber on. Burnout Paradise is a dream to play for any fan of arcade racers.
School's out forever.
Now, I'm going to slightly cheat here and say that for this spot I'm awarding it to Far Cry 3 and its expansion Blood Dragon. Far Cry 3 is the bigger and better open world game out of the two if we're marking them on a technical level, but even though smaller in scope and slightly simplified in its gameplay mechanics, Blood Dragon is what I want to show you guys and discuss here today, just for its sheer outlandishness and the presentation of its 80s inspired retro futuristic world. In it, you'll play as cyborg military sergeant Rex Colt, where you'll fight for survival in a dystopian version of 2007 in which the world is suffering the aftermath of nuclear war. Cybernetic super soldier Rex learns that an elite agent called Colonel Sloan has gone rogue and travels to an unnamed island to investigate. After pulling a fast one, Sloan manages to incapacitate Rex and makes his escape. Disillusioned with Sloan's mental ambitions, his assistant Dr. Elizabeth Darling betrays him and joins Rex's cause, and the two take it upon themselves to put a stop to the Colonel once and for all. Cue Blood Dragons, Parallel Dimensions, and the Battle Armoured Dragon Assault Strike System, or Badass for short. Yeah, it's incredibly on the nose and purposefully over the top, with Ubisoft themselves calling it a game where you get the girl, kill the bad guys, and save the world. Clear and simple instructions then, but what it lacks in narrative depth it more than makes up for in action and presentation. With vengeful AI, giant laser shooting dinosaurs, zombies and cyborgs, this is a dream for anyone who grew up in the 80s and 90s. It's like my childhood has been distilled into a 7 to 10 hour expansion. This vision of the future told through the lens of 80s sci-fi and action movies just spoke to me. It's absolutely amazing. So get Far Cry 3 and play it if you haven't already. Obviously it's got one of the best and most memorable villains in gaming, but don't forget to play through Blood Dragon either. Both are absolutely fantastic in their own way and up there amongst the best the series has ever produced.
So, we missed one of you at Narcos, eh? An easy mistake to fix.
Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor is an action-adventure game set within the same universe as The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, with the game itself taking place in the 60-year gap between the two. You'll control Talion, a Gondorian ranger placed at the Black Gate of Mordor. After his garrison is attacked by Sauron's Uruk forces, Talion and his family are captured, and soon enough a tragic series of events occur in an attempt to summon the wraith of the elf lord Celebrimbor. Due to be sacrificed in order for Celebrimbor to materialise, Talion and the amnesiac ghost of the elf lord instead merge together into one. And so throughout your travels you will fight to avenge those who harmed you and your family, while also uncovering the truth of Celebrimbor's identity. You'll be travelling across Middle-earth either by foot, with Talion himself having a knack for parkour, or by riding the local beasties. The map is pretty massive and there are lots of side missions and activities to busy yourself with, not to mention the many collectibles to find. In combat you can dive right in with free-flowing melee, pick them off one by one using ranged attacks, or take a more stealthy approach. The main bulk of the combat should feel quite familiar to anyone who's played the Batman Arkham games, but the difference here is the Wraith abilities gifted to you by Celebrimbor, like slowing down time while aiming your bow, using the Wraith hand to interrogate orcs for information, and Shadow Strike, which will allow Talion to instantly teleport to an enemy for a swift takedown. There are a number of ways to level Talion and Celebrimbor up so that they can access more abilities and increase their health and power, for example, but probably the best and most unique mechanic the game offers is the Nemesis system. Here, certain enemy NPCs will remember the interactions they have with you, gloating if they manage to send you packing with a game over screen. Not only that, but should they beat you in combat, they will also climb rank, making them even more difficult to beat when you next cross paths. It's a very impressive system and game in general. Even if you're not a Lord of the Rings fan, this one should not be missed.
It's just another orc. No. Someone who wants to be seen. We should tread with caution.
Open to mutants only. Former human servants of the master condition. Personal top-reading duties. Dismemberment mankind. You told brother. Come. Take a load off your mind.
Fallout New Vegas is a first-person open-world RPG from Obsidian Entertainment. Set in the Mojave Desert 204 years after a devastating nuclear war between the US and China known as the Great War. You control a courier that survives an assassination attempt while out on a delivery and becomes caught up in a struggle for power between several governing factions, all vying for control of the region. The main aim of the game is to find your attacker, but there are also countless missions and distractions found in the wasteland of New Vegas to keep you busy while you do so. Combat is weapon-based for the most part. There are your common firearms like shotguns and rifles to use, but there are also loads of more inventive energy-based weapons like the Tesla cannon or the pulse gun to utilise as well, all of which you can upgrade with additional mods. During combat and providing you have enough action points, you can trigger VATs, which will temporarily pause the action, allowing you to target specific areas of the enemy's body. With extensive RPG mechanics, you can level up attributes called special stats, which govern your strength, endurance and agility, to name but a few. These are the more standard attributes you'd expect to see for a player character in an RPG, but in New Vegas you'll also be able to enhance attributes like barter to get better prices from merchants, speech to win people over with your silver tongue, and lockpick, which will enable you to pick the trickier locks hiding all that rare loot. Obsidian really went to town with the role-playing mechanics in this one, and they didn't stop there. You are given so much agency in this game to play it however you want and treat people however you want, with the decisions you make heavily impacting the game's story and environment. Curry favour with one faction may lock you out of missions with another if they're at odds with each other. Disrespect someone and they may send assassins to pursue you. Your actions and your reputation carry tangible weight in this amazing open world that many other games of its ilk rarely manage to accomplish. It's a little brown in its colour palette, but the disgusting radioactive monsters, crazy NPCs, consistently good mission design, and the incredible role-playing mechanics more than make up for it.
Keep an eye out. This isn't finished yet.
Dragon's Dogma is a high fantasy action RPG set in a beautiful open world. You'll play in the third person and at the start of the game have the option to select one of numerous classes. Warrior, Mage, Magic Archer and Mystic Knight are just a few choices available to you. What you choose will drastically alter gameplay and tactical options while out in the game's world, so choose wisely on which one best suits your playstyle. Whichever class you choose though, you will play as the Arisen, a human who at the start of the game heroically takes on a massive dragon said to herald the end of days. Completely unbothered, the dragon takes the heart of our playable character and marks them as the Arisen, a being destined to eventually beat the dragon in a rematch and stop the impending apocalypse. One of the most talked about aspects of the game is the pawn system. Aside from one member of your party, which is from your world, the other members will be borrowed from other players' games via an online connection or created locally by the game if you're offline. You have a bit of strategy to consider too and can issue commands if they're not doing what you want them to do, but their AI is pretty damn impressive to be honest, with party members regularly providing valuable information about the world or characters you come across and are incredibly useful in battle, often yelling tips and solutions during tough boss encounters. Speaking of which, there are enemies of all shapes and sizes in this world and some are absolutely massive. One thing I really appreciated is the fact that you're not just restricted to the ground as you fight them. You have way more options than just dodge rolling, blocking or cowering behind cover. A little like Shadow of the Colossus, you can grab onto an enemy's hind leg for example and attack them there while your party is busy keeping them occupied at the front. Or if the enemy is big enough, you can climb up their back to reach their head for a more lethal blow. You can also target specific body parts in order to amputate them, and this all just adds to making this fantasy quest a hell of a lot more believable and upping the stakes of boss battles considerably. It's pretty hardcore and won't be for everyone, but for those that it does gel with, you will have an incredibly memorable time with this game.
Let us be doubly sure to go to the sports. Lion for the head!
Douse the flames! Get in there, you mongrel!
The sixth main entry in the productive franchise, Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag is an action-adventure game that focuses on parkour, stealth, melee combat and naval-based exploration. The game's open world spans the vast majority of the West Indies with three main cities to explore on land: Nassau, Kingston and Havana. On top of that, there are numerous islands of varying size and density, sunken ships and forts to discover as well. It's a big open world, not quite at the scale of future Assassin's Creed games like Odyssey or Valhalla, but maybe that's a good thing. Set during the golden age of piracy, you will be playing as Welsh pirate Edward Kenway, as you search for fame and fortune on the high seas while also keeping an eye out for the mythical and mysterious observatory. On your travels of plunder and assassination, you'll also be uncovering conspiracies that link the Templars to the British and Spanish empires that will see you travelling to the respected islands that they each hold influence over. As you seize your own brig, the Jackdaw, from the Spanish fleet in the game's opening hours, you gain the ability to freely sail the gorgeous turquoise seas of the Caribbean. With Black Flag focusing a lot more of its attention to the ship-based exploration, you'll be harpooning large sea beasts in between intense naval warfare scenarios, and I must say the presentation here is incredible, with the water graphics being particularly impressive. You'll be doing a lot of assassinating, naturally, mainly Spanish, British and pirate targets as you make a name for yourself and inspire many a shanty to be sung about you. There are also ancient ruins to discover, sugar plantations and sea forts to raid and underwater shipwrecks to scavenge and loot. You won't be short of things to do, and thanks to the incredible feeling naval exploration, you'll be glad for any excuse to hit the waves. This pirate simulator is absolutely bloody fantastic and genuinely marked a shift in the franchise, one I felt it desperately needed. This would eventually lead to Odyssey, which I feel is the best game in the entire series, but the blueprint for that was drafted here in Black Flag. This plays and looks great on the PlayStation 3, so if you're after an open world game that doesn't limit traversal to either walking or driving, then give this a go if you haven't already.
By God, she took some knocks, didn't she? I think I'll keep her.
All hands aft, lads! We're taking this one home!
dog eyes. Winston owns this area. You with us, and you'll regret it.
Okay, but please, make sure Dog Eyes doesn't kill me.
Sleeping Dogs is a third-person action-adventure game set in modern-day Hong Kong. You'll play as Wei Shen, a Hong Kong American police officer who goes undercover in order to infiltrate a triad crime organisation. As Shen, you'll be tasked with not only fulfilling your duties as a police officer, gaining police XP as you do so, which will unlock improvements to Shen's firearm skills, but undercover Shen will also have to place his morals to one side as he takes on missions assigned by the Triad Lieutenant. Completing these missions not only validates his commitment to the criminal cause, deepening his cover, but they will also earn you separate Triad XP, and this will improve Shen's melee combat skills and damage output. The more elaborate your melee attack combos are, the more Triad XP you'll earn. And if that wasn't enough, completing civilian side missions will earn you Face XP, and this will unlock more cosmetic items and vehicles for you to play around with. The melee combat, loosely based on the Batman Arkham fight style, feels responsive and satisfying, with the added benefit of being able to incorporate the environment around you. You can slam someone's face into a power generator, put their head through a window, or throw them in a dumpster. It's great and really reminds me of the fight scenes from classic 80s and 90s martial art movies. The game does emphasise melee combat over firearms on the whole, especially in the first half of the game, but you will get to shoot stuff too. It has a cover system, and like the exaggerated melee combat mentioned above, it also has gun fu elements, where if you were to vault out of cover holding your gun, time will briefly slow down so you can line up a cinematic headshot. The world is gorgeous, busy and murky, and the characters found throughout the story are brilliantly written for and acted. In fact, this has a bit of a stellar Hollywood cast attached that only adds to its already top-tier quality in my eyes. I know this has been spoken about to death on YouTube regarding how underrated this game is, my channel is no exception, but it still blows my mind how much of a blank spot this is to people. So if that's you and you're liking what you're seeing, then do yourself a favour and get this in the collection. The PS4 remaster is probably the way to go now, but if you don't have the means, then the PS3 version will do just fine and serve you very well. Absolutely brilliant game.
Stand a chance against us.
Batman Arkham City is the Cape Crusaders' first foray into open world territory, and what an entrance he made. Set 18 months after the events of the first game, Arkham Asylum, the asylum itself along with the Blackgate Penitentiary are deemed unsuitable for the growing list of bad guys Gotham keeps producing. So the director of the asylum closes both institutions and purchases Gotham's most notorious slums, walling it off and creating an immense prison megastructure known as Arkham City. The game starts with a press conference orchestrated by Bruce Wayne to declare his opposition to the project, but instead is arrested and placed in the facility himself. Here you'll learn the basics if you aren't already familiar, and soon enough Alfred comes to the rescue with an airdrop full of goodies. You'll suit up, secure your gadgets, and away you go, immediately gliding across the brand new neon-infused open world. Following on from Arkham Asylum, Batman's unique brand of brawling that so many games borrowed from is back and sharper than ever, allowing you to be surrounded by enemies and still feel like you've got the upper hand. Drop a smoke bomb to confuse those around you, then zip up to the rafters and watch them scramble below. And, as is customary, the Bat has a lot of gadgets at his disposal. The cryptographic sequencer will let you hack terminals and security consoles, granting access to otherwise sealed off areas. It can also be used to monitor shortwave radio signals, allowing you to listen in on your enemies and track them down. The line launcher will let you reach tricky to get to places, and the explosive gel has loads of applications, not just to break down weak walls. And the detective mode in the game is nothing to be sniffed at either. The main campaign is a solid 25 to 30 hours, but if you wanted to see and do everything like gathering up collectibles or completing all of the optional Riddler challenges, you can easily add another 15 to 20 hours to that count. The story is great, with many fan favourite characters from the DCU all getting their moment to shine. The combat has a crunchy impact to it that I really enjoyed, even if it does start to feel a little repetitive by the end of the campaign. The boss fights were epic standout moments, and the world itself is just stunning. They absolutely nailed that dark and gritty vibe Gotham is famous for, and exploring all its corners is still an absolute joy.
Get back here, Harley.
And I want to know who he is, sweetie.
No one's who you think they are, my dear. Why spoil the fun?
It was all a lie. There's nothing wrong with you.
Nice of you to say, but you of all people should know there's plenty wrong with me.
Metal Gear Solid 5 The Phantom Pain is a stealth action adventure game, and as a first for the beloved series, is set in a vast open world. The game will have you control Venom Snake as he ventures into Soviet-occupied Afghanistan in the mid-80s to track down and exact revenge on those that wronged him during the events of the prologue, Ground Zeroes. It does have issues with its story, something the franchise has, up until this point, always been quite good at. The troubled development and growing animosity between series creator Hideo Kojima and purse-string holding publisher Konami are no secret, with this being the last project the two would work on before their infamous split. As a result, many would claim the story, and by extension the game, is unfinished. I would tend to agree, definitely in regards to the story, but man, everything else is just so good though, especially the gameplay and presentation. Polish doesn't even begin to cover it. The glossy sheen this has is on a whole other level. The gameplay mechanics alone felt leagues ahead of anything I had played at the time. The character models, vehicle design, the countless unique animations for all the random things you can get Snake to do in this is just utterly mind-blowing. The PS3 version does struggle a little during the more congested combat sections, but other than that, this still manages to impress me to this day. And for me personally, the stealth in this game still hasn't been bettered, and this released 10 years and 2 console generations ago. Even if stealth isn't your thing, this game in particular I feel caters a lot more to those that prefer a more guns blazing approach. Personally, I always liked a mix of the two. Whittle down the numbers of a base with a bit of stealth, then absolutely annihilate the rest with everything I've got. It was a technique I found very enjoyable indeed. There's base building, where you can essentially kidnap enemy soldiers and send them to your base to be converted into fighting for you, and it's here where you'll develop new tech and weaponry that can aid you while you're out in the field. You can traverse the expanse of the open world either on foot, horseback, or via one of the many vehicles that you'll gain access to as the game progresses. Not only that, but should you be on a particularly big or tricky mission, you can not only call in airstrikes for an assist, but you can also call in one of the game's many AI companions to aid you. D-Dog will help you sniff out and take down enemies swiftly and silently. D-Walker is a highly agile bipedal turret that you can mount to provide heavier fire suppression, and then there's the controversial Silent, a mute female sniper clearly impervious to the chill factor that nights spent in a desert can bring. The story, or lack thereof, does let this game down slightly, but it would be a much bigger issue if everything else the game offers wasn't of such a high standard. The complexity of its gameplay mechanics isn't a negative, it's an immense positive. It's so meticulously designed and perfectly executed that you could quite happily spend hundreds of hours in this world, perfecting your approach, developing Mother Base, which in turn will give you new abilities and weapons. The loop is just so satisfying that you won't want to do anything else. Absolutely incredible game.
Come on.
Nico, what are you doing?
Dave is not coming.
Ignore him. Come on, we gotta get this thing ready before we dock. Let's go.
Right, let's just get this out of the way now, as I only wanted to include one GTA game in this list, and I know GTA 5 is technically a better game. It looks better, the map's bigger, and most crucially has a lot more fun things to do in it. Objectively, 5 is better than 4 in almost every regard. But personally, GTA 5 will always be a PS4 game for me. I didn't grab a PS3 copy till much later on, just out of a morbid curiosity to see how it ran. Plus, there is just something about GTA 4's characters and its grimy criminal underworld that I absolutely loved. It's also still locked to 6th gen consoles, with no means of enjoying it on your TV unless you have a PS3 or Xbox 360 hooked up, which is another reason why it swiped the spot from GTA 5 on my list, as it is quintessentially a PS3 game. In it, you'll play as Niko Bellic, an Eastern European immigrant and war veteran navigating the tough streets of Liberty City in a bid to escape his criminal past and pursue the American dream. After hearing tales of luxury, excess and debauchery from his cousin Roman, already a resident in America, Niko decides to follow suit but quickly realises they were all tall tales spun by a degenerate gambler in an effort to paint his life with more colour than it actually has. Still, blood is blood, and even Roman's depressing bachelor pad is more exciting than what Niko left behind back home, so he decides to stick around and help Roman out with his many problems, namely the loan sharks that take pleasure in making Roman's life even more miserable than it already is. You'll be a gun for hire, a getaway driver, backup and muscle for those that are paying, and that's aside from all the heinous things you'll be doing between missions in the game's massive open world. The main campaign will have you spending time with Russian mobsters, drug lords, Italian mafia, Irish mafia, yardies, terrorists and undercover agents as you dive deeper and deeper into Liberty City's criminal underbelly and make a name for yourself. You'll traverse the map either on foot or in a vehicle, use melee attacks, firearms and explosives to fight enemies, befriend NPCs and engage in side activities and mini-games, increasing their respect of you. It's a fascinating and exaggerated look at an immigrant's journey in search of the American dream, albeit one permeated with criminal activity in a way only Rockstar seems to manage. There isn't a shortage of open worlds on the PS3, as this list has hopefully proven, but even if they come close, none are like Rockstar open worlds.
Bastard is going to kill us! We should get out of here.
You go. I'll catch up with you later.
What the hell do you want?
You starting to regret this yet?
And the number one spot for me goes to Red Dead Redemption, a third-person action-adventure game set during the decline of the American frontier in 1911. You'll play as John Marston, a former outlaw whose family is kidnapped by government agents. In exchange for their safe return, the agents force John to hunt down members of his old crew. And so John's long journey across the western United States and northern Mexico begins. Primarily on horseback or on foot, you'll encounter many NPCs, some friendly, some not so friendly, but all very well written and brought to life by excellent voice acting and performance capture. The open world is massive and you are free to spend as much time as you want exploring it, and you will be. Outside of the main story missions, all of which were incredible, you'll also have side missions to partake in, taking you to corners of the map you maybe wouldn't have seen otherwise. There's just so much going on in this game, and all of it is operating at the highest level. There's Wild West style duels to partake in, bounty hunting, herb collecting and more. There are also random events occurring throughout the game world that you could be tangled up in if you happen to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. Public hangings, ambushes from highwaymen, deadly bear attacks and pleas for help from local NPCs, and depending on how you react in these scenarios, it will drastically affect how NPCs will treat you moving forward. The honour system is affected by your deeds. Be a good guy by capturing outlaws and helping strangers, and people will greet you when you stroll into town and even offer discounts in stores. but be a murder-hungry bad guy and people will be insecure around you, shuffling away when they see you, and store owners may even shut their doors to you. Fans always seem to have a pop at Rockstar's gunplay in their games, but I absolutely loved it in Red Dead. You can take cover, blind fire, and even target specific body parts to bring someone down non-lethally. There are pistols, rifles, shotguns, etc., all accurate to the time period and feel distinct from each other. You can also lasso targets trying to make a break for it, and if you find yourself outgunned by multiple enemies, you can activate Deadeye, a targeting system that will allow you to slow down time and mark all your targets. Once the targeting sequence ends, John will rapidly fire his gun to all marked locations in quick succession. It's the most outlandish part of the game, to be honest, and the furthest removed from reality, but it does feel great and fits in with that romanticised version of the Wild West that we all grew up watching in movies. An absolutely outstanding game that manages to excel in every single area. It has an incredible world to explore, an amazing story to lose yourself in, characters so well written and acted they feel real, numerous game mechanics that not only feel good to play, but also further enhance the world Rockstar have built. For me, this was the best open world game I'd ever played, only bettered by its sequel that arrived during the following console generation. A landmark moment in gaming, both on a technical level and an artistic one. Its mature tone and cinematic art direction pushed the medium forward and dramatically stood out in the crowd of third-person action games at the time. It's the very definition of must-play in my eyes.
And I tried to stop. I mean, I don't know. I tried to go straight. I did. I left the gang after the gang left me. Left me to die after I'd been shot. They'd all gone crazy anyhow. Our old leader, fella you probably heard of. Anyway, he more or less lost his mind, went and shot a bunch of people unfair like. I got shot in a robbery. They left me, and I left them.
No, that's how it goes.
Right, well that's the list done. Now to round off the video with some honourable mentions. Just Cause 2 from Avalanche Studios is a brilliant open world game with deserts, mountains and jungles. It's an exotic playground to cause havoc in. Tons of explosions, cheesy one-liners and a grappling hook of the gods. LA Noire from Team Bondi feels like a love letter to film noir crime capers of old. You'll play a detective on the streets of LA, gathering clues, investigating crime scenes and interrogating witnesses. You'll need to pay close attention to the faces of the suspects you interrogate to tell if they were lying or not, and thanks to the cutting-edge facial animations of the day, it was actually possible to do so, which was a bit of a flex at the time. Dragon Age Inquisition from BioWare is an epic open-world RPG. You'll play the Inquisitor, who's on a journey to close a mysterious tear in the sky called the Breach. Choose whether you want to be a warrior, mage or rogue, and away you go. Each have amazing skills and abilities that look incredible when executed. Gorgeous looking game. Watch Dogs from Ubisoft is a third-person sandbox that combines action, stealth and driving with a few RPG elements thrown in for good measure. You'll hack into various electronic devices to solve puzzles or sneak through areas undetected, but you can also use your hacking skills to create different scenarios in the moment-to-moment gameplay. The Godfather 2 from EA is an action-adventure game where you'll play as Dominic, the man in charge of the Corleone family's operations in New York. Tasked with maintaining and expanding the family's empire, you'll shake down businesses for protection money, take over the turf of your rivals and engage in some good old-fashioned fistfights. It's not the most polished game and the open world itself left much to be desired, but there's still something about it that I really enjoyed. And I've got to give a shout out to Shadow of the Colossus. Probably the barest of all the open world games covered today, but one with incredible art direction and atmosphere. An emotional and artistic PS2 classic remastered in HD and paired with the equally brilliant and beautiful Eco. The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim from Bethesda is a famously appalling port. The PS3 version of Skyrim was an absolute joke at launch. Horrendous frame rate dips and egregious load times. It deserves a mention for its cultural impact, but there are far better ways to enjoy it nowadays, and you're not short of options. Now these last two came really close to being included in the list. First up is South Park: The Stick of Truth, an outstanding turn-based RPG from Obsidian. Not only did it have the RPG elements locked thanks to an exceptional dev studio with history and experience in the genre, but it was also written by and developed alongside series creators Matt Stone and Trey Parker. It genuinely felt like you were playing one massive South Park episode. It's phenomenal, and probably the only open world game here with a protagonist that comes equipped with a dedicated fart button.
That one sounded like it hurt.
And the final honourable mention goes to Mercenaries 2 World in Flames, a massively underrated game and one that I've spoken about on the channel before. It's a little rough around the edges, but the main hook of the gameplay is solid. Unpredictable and over-the-top action with a tropical setting. What's not to like? Also worth noting is that it hasn't got a remaster for newer consoles and isn't backwards compatible on the Xbox One or the Series X, so if you're a console gamer, then grabbing a PS3 or 360 copy is going to be your best bet. And there you have it guys, my personal top 20 open world games for the PS3. Now if it wasn't already made clear in the video, for the vast majority of the games listed, there are better ways to enjoy them today. Whether through enhancements via backwards compatibility, PC mods, or even full-on remasters for newer consoles, but sometimes it's just nice to experience and appreciate games how they first entered the world and on original hardware. Well, that's how I feel anyway. So whether you're a collector maniac and hoarder like myself, or you only have access to a PS3, then in my humble opinion, these are all must-haves for any collection. Let me know down in the comments what your favourites are, whether I shat the bed in terms of list order, or which games I forgot to include entirely. If you enjoyed the video, then have a think about hitting the like button, as it genuinely helps out the channel quite a bit. And if you're new here and like all things PlayStation, then subscribe to keep updated on all future uploads. That's going to do it for this one though, gang, so until next time, take care, be good, and game on.